Welcome back to the Simplicity Diaries with me, Kim John Payne. So glad you could make it again. We did it. Okay, so this week I've been thinking a little bit about something that I saw in a kindergarten that I visited. And this is more an early years theme, although it does apply to older kids as well, but in a different way, as it often does, right? And this is the theme of No, You Do It. When children are getting dressed, and I saw this in the kindergarten, a little child needed to get boots and coats and hats on, saying, "Oh, you do it, you do it," and it was almost like a feigned helplessness that was going on, and the kindergarten teacher, tried her best to get the child to, because she was saying, well, no, you can put on your boots, and and it wasn't going anywhere fast, and the child was getting more and more elevated, and it wasn't going so well. They figured it out in the end, but it took a long time. I want to give a few hints, because what that teacher came across is what every parent of younger children comes across, even into the early elementary age years. We can come across this with kids just won't do it, and they want us to do it for them. And we can start to feel like like a butler or something. So the first step, when we're going to ask a child to do something, okay, and we know it's boots or it's coat or it's tidy up or whatever it is, the first thing to do is not to say. So, for example, I'll stay with the theme of boots, and that's often a hard one. Coats, getting outside, transitioning in general. Before you, tell a child to put their boots on, or their coat on, or their snowsuit on, or their sun hat on, whichever climate you live in, whatever the season is, actually lean in a little bit to the mirror neurons, and I've talked about that in other podcasts, but just do something. Get their little hat out, get their boots out, and do it within their sight. Put the snowsuit down, get your own coat out, and just busy yourself a little bit, just for a minute or so, with the doing of something, because the mirror neurons of a child are involuntary, and they will not be able to help noticing you do it. And inwardly, a child starts kind of moving into the bootness, the coatness, the hatness, the tidy upness. They kind of can't help it. But often as a society, we tell kids, we tell them to do something and wonder why it doesn't work. And I'm suggesting that it's way more successful to show them quietly and signal. It's almost like a pre-paving. You signal, this is what we're doing. For very little children, you might sing a very familiar or hum a very familiar little song that you come up with or use to get them outside. For my children, it was Gift to Be Simple, and I just hum that well-known, "'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be," and they would know, and I just catch their attention because it was the changing song, that something was changing, and I would be setting out boots and coats or whatever it was at the time. It's the first step. Don't just speak it, show it, do it. Then, if you get the and you still get that that annoying "you do it," is just to sit quietly beside a child and not feel any need at all, and just to let them know, "Oh, it is hard, isn't it?" Oh, and just to come alongside them and feel, no need to start dressing them. And I know you might say, but we've got just 2 minutes to get in the car and if you've got just 2 minutes to get in the car, you haven't allowed enough time. Any little child is going to need at least 10 minutes, at least, to get their outdoor clothes on, or at least 10 minutes to clean up before they come to the dinner table. And it's not like saying to them, 10 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go, 2 minutes to go. Because if we do that, the little children have very little concept of abstract time like that. And all they're doing is metaphorically sort of handcuffing themselves to the railing, like digging in, that they're not going to move. They're not going to move away from their toys or get into that stupid coat or whatever. Okay, so the second step is just to be with them. Just sit with them. Oh, it is hard, isn't it, to get into that coat? Oh my goodness, it's hard to go outside now after we've been having so much fun inside. Just be with them. Recognize that it's hard. And in a sense, just connect. Back to this theme of connecting. So connect with them. It is hard, isn't it? Oh dear. If you still get the refusal, just remember when they did something well. This is the third step, is just recall and give them a little reminder of when they did something all by their big selves. And if they're a little bit older, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, you don't have to speak in that language. You can just say, yesterday you brought in all those tools out the garden before the rain came. You brought in all that stuff, or you brought in all those groceries, didn't you? The biggest, the heaviest bag. Thank you. That was really good of you. And just find a very simple little memory of when they did something that was helpful, but also they did together with you. Remember their autonomy, that they can be autonomous. They can act independently. They can do things. And remember that. And just sit with them and tell them a little 15 to 30 second story of, and then we brought that inside, didn't we? We did. And you put everything just on the right shelf. Gosh, that was helpful. See, when you do that, you're taking them out of not only their fight or flight brain, but their freeze. They're frozen. They're not going to do it. They're stuck. They don't want to. Like, no. When you tell them a little story, number one, of their autonomy, of their competency, and number two, it's pictorially based. It's a little 30-second, 15-second. Doesn't have to be a great big deal, but you've told them a little story. You're moving them out of that freeze brain, out of the fight, flight, freeze brain. And you've moved them to a different part of their being, into that pictorial imagination. And you've also recognized with them that they can be very, very strong. They can be competent. They can be helpful. Just tell them a little story. That will often move kids along, very often. Still recognizing it's hard that we've got a transition now. But remember their independence, their competency, and remember it pictorially. Tell them just the briefest little story of when they did that. If they still don't move, they're still no, and they're wreathing around on the floor, and then try a we direction, a W-E, a we direction. And that's not a re-direction with an R, but with a W, we direction, to say, this is a bother, isn't it, with these coats? Do you know what? I think we just need to get some things out on the counter and pack our lunches just a little bit. So you're still getting ready for what you're doing. If it's packing up toys from the table, it might be that you come over to the kitchen and you sit a child up at the counter and you just tell them a little, and I remember when. These are all other podcasts, aren't they, by the way, those of you who listen to all these podcasts. I remember when you were just a little baby. Do you know what? There was a bird that landed right on the handle of your stroller, of your pram. And so you basically redirect. You just take them and you do something with them that's not exactly, forcing them to put on the coat bodily or doing it for them. But it is still staying in the flow of tidying up. It still is staying in the flow of getting ready, but it's not exactly that thing. It's not exactly the coat. It's not exactly clearing away the blocks or the project, but it is still moving the day forward. You're not just sort of sitting and getting a picture book out and sitting with them, telling them a story. Like, we parents know that's just never going to work. Not consistently. We've got too much to do to get out the door. So the third step is a we direction. Now, that's discussed more in a previous podcast, if you're interested in looking back on we directions. And I talk about why redirections with an R often don't work as well as we hope, because they're sending a child to do something. Why don't you go and ride your bike? Why don't you go into your room and play? Why don't you? And it's sending a child away just when they want to be close and orient with us. They want us. And that's why redirections often have kids kind of walk off and then come on back like boomerangs after a couple of minutes and start whining and whinging and doing that really annoying stuff. So the third step is a we direction, still staying in the flow of getting ready, but not going head to head with the coat. After you've made a little bit of a connection, after you've sat a child at the counter and you've told them, and you're putting lunches together and you may be giving them some of the things to put in the box and organize, and you may be telling them a little story. I love these I remember when stories. I think they're beautiful. I remember when you were little. I remember when I was just a little girl. That kind of stuff. So, because we've always got an I remember when story. They're so easy. We've got lots of them, haven't we? And then circle on back to the coat and put your own coat on, or get your coat out, get it ready, maybe even put it on, and say, okay, coats and boots on now. And it's surprising how often a child will just slip right into that snowsuit, pop that sun hat right on, whereas 2, 3, 4 minutes before, they were flat refusing, or particularly they were going into that, no, you do it, because a child saying you do it, I think underneath it all, often there's a motivation of, well, obviously not wanting to do it, but secondly, wanting to connect. They want to connect with you. They want to feel your hands putting their things on, or whatever it is. They want to connect with you as you pack things away and help them. They're looking for connection, but they're doing it in the most sort of annoying and kind of helpless way. In this way, you can give them what they want. You can keep the morning moving or the evening moving. You can keep it moving, but you also circle back and get the thing done. Now, and it's all done within 3 or 4 minutes, and you are going to spend 15 minutes trying to get that child into that coat and the mop up afterwards and the crying. And it's just a very, very economical way of going about helping a child when they meet that kind of no, you do it type of thing. Okay. I sure hope that was helpful. Okay, bye-bye for now.